getting ready to spray this hood with some RM epoxy with the new AccuSpray gun that we got from 3M. We'll see how that thing works. Stay tuned. The hard block. I prefer the hard block, but if you have to use a Durablock because they're a little bit cheaper, then you can, but they do bend. They will flex a little bit, so that's why I prefer this one, but we'll use this one for just now. You'll notice that you'll see your high spots and your low spots. The darker areas are your low spots. You'll cross hatch, you go one direction, make an X, go in the opposite direction. As you sand, you go with the contour, move around if you have to. Again, you can see that you have a low spot, so we'll try and block that out. And I don't just stay in that one spot because you can block that spot out and still create a low spot. So try and make as big a sweep as you can. And you notice you'll hit metal. You got different layers here. I don't know if you can see that through the camera. But once you hit metal, that's where you're going to have to do bodywork. And once you hit that, where there's different layers, you're going to have to do bodywork here. So you don't want to have too much metal exposed. But the main thing is keep light pressure on it. You don't have to press. Keep light pressure and make the X with your sandpaper. Let the sandpaper do the work. All you have to do is move the block. And I always sand to the line. I try not to sand the line, the body line itself. And you'll notice, you can feel when the sandpaper gets clogged or it gets dull, and you'll want to change that quick. Quick measurement. And there you go. And again, sand, I always sand to the line. I try not to go over the line because you can make wiggles in that line. Try and do a big enough area. I don't want to just go in one little spot here. Longer stroke. This hood is from Osley. This hood's from Osley Chevelle parts, so it's in really good shape. They have really good parts. All the parts for that 70 Chevelle came from Osley Chevelle parts, and they're really nice parts. And making an X. And you can see where you have to do your body work. We'll try not to do a lot of body work on the hood, because what will happen is when you do a lot of body work on the hood, it could warp the hood, and then you're putting more and more body work on this thing, and it's just going to be a mess. You really want to do that. So just kind of little skim coats. We'll show you that in a different video. Okay. Alright, if you're going down here, here's a block that we have for contours. So when we have a curve like this, we'll use this contour. Same cross hatching as we normally do. Except it just fits the contour a whole lot better. And with this one having this flat side on there, you can actually even use it for the flat part of the hood here and still get that contour in there. block from here up. And you can see that it's starting to get clogged. So you can either brush it off, wipe this off, start locking again. Always keeping those crosshatch marks, because it will tell you where your low spot is, where you're going to have to use your body filler. Your low spot is basically just a dent. It could also be from when they form the metal at the factory. A lot of times if you get enough epoxy on, you can block it out with the epoxy. And when you get to spots like this, I'll switch and I'll use the flat block again and try and get that curve going. Remember, you don't have to press hard. You gotta let the sandpaper and the block do the work. There you go. Okay, we're going to go over all the circled areas that are low spots with our Cling Sport 80 grit sandpaper. I'm going to use our DA we got from Blue Point, and we're going to DA all that with the 80 for better adhesion. I usually block the hood with 180 or 120, and then go over the low areas with the 80 so I have really good adhesion to my Cling Sport body filler. So stay tuned. Okay, Kevin here. I'm back from wiping it down with 900, and just to go over a few things. The reason that I mark all of my low spots is because when I sand it with the 80, like you saw in the last video, when I sand it with 80, the low spots basically disappear. So I always like to have a reminder where all my work is needed to be done. That's why I do the pencil marks, and then I'll wash it down with 900. And that's if you have a at-home air compressor, you don't have a dryer, and you're doing this at home, your DA could spit out water because your air compressor will cause condensation when it gets hot and cold when it goes through that air line. So if you don't have a dryer or a water separator, it could possibly happen. So that's another reason why if you're at home, wash it down. The other reason to wash it down is to get all the dust off. So if there's no dust in the scratches that you're going to apply your body filler to, and that will all make for better adhesion. So pretty soon we're going to let this 900 continue drying, and we'll be back to spread some body filler. Stay tuned. Now when you're sanding body filler, you should have a dust mask on. When I was sanding the body filler before, it's kind of hard to talk with a mask on. It's really hard to hear me, so I didn't have the mask on. But when you're doing all this body filler, make sure you have a mask on. This is a paint mask. It's an old one, and I feel like it breathes better with these. They do have different cartridges for dust masks. You can also get one of the paper dust masks. It's really up to you on what you want to use. I just prefer an old paint mask that's been used up. I just breathe better with it. So make sure you wear a paint mask or a dust mask. 3M, they have really, really good ones. Once you're done painting, the cartridges are bad, just use that paint mask. Okay, you can also use your DA to do your body work, but be very, very careful. It's the same rules apply. Keep your DA flat, get your high spots done first, and then do your edges to the middle from the work from the outside in. This way you still keep a lot of plastic where you need it, okay? And just get it smooth enough to where you can go over it with your block. Just speeds up the process a little bit, makes things a little bit easier, saves money for your customer, saves your arms and your back. But just make sure you feel comfortable with this. practice a little bit on panels that aren't a customer's car or are going to be a show car. All right, and I'll just kind of show you what I mean. Okay, so as you can see, the edges are feathered out pretty good here, but you can still see where the spreader lines were. Okay, so what I do now is I will use my block to go over that, just like I did over here. This one I DA'd, and now I have to go over that with a block. You can still see kind of an edge here, but you know that means you still have to do a little bit of sanding, which is okay, because you're going to finish it off with your block. It only took me a minute and a half to probably do both of those, as opposed to doing it all by a block. That probably took me 10-15 minutes. Okay, just a little tip for you, for the beginners out there. You can try that. For the professionals, that you guys are already doing that, so